driver off the deck for Corey Connors.
Here's driver off the deck for Victor Hovland.
So the driver off the deck. I know you would try this, right?
Oh my, what a shot.
Just to be able to hit it off the deck and get that thing down and fly it in running.
You have to put your foot on the gas. You pull out the driver off the deck and you put it on the green all the way up the hill.
Welcome back to another episode of Off the Deck. I'm your host, Josh Decker. Really excited about our conversation this evening with Curt Thompson. Curt, I've actually kind of dubbed you Mr. Available just from our conversation.
Absolutely.
When we met a few weeks ago, and that's one of the cool things. I say this a lot on this show. The cool thing about golf is it brings people together that you might otherwise never meet. And pure happenstance, you and I ended up at in a cart together at Vestavia Country Club a few weeks ago. Right. And we, I mean, that's a story in and of itself. But first, before we jump in, thanks for taking time to come on the show. You are a man that I just from the little time that we spent together on the course, I think wears a ton of hats. We can talk about that day right out of the gate if you'd like to.
Let's get after it. I'm just glad you haven't brought up to me already. I was totally prepared for this. I might have played golf today with a couple of people that we know, and I absolutely got throttled. And I was fully anticipating that information had leaked out. Perhaps you even had the card. You were ready to talk about a couple of those things. But I wasn't alone. I had a partner, and we both got throttled today. So let's get that out of the way. Let's go back to the day that you and I also got beat. And I only know that because I happened to look up that round and I recorded it. We'll get to that later. Yeah. And I know that we lost a couple bucks that day, but we had a great time. And I actually got to play golf for the first time, don't tell anybody, on a Monday, which was pretty cool. But I understand the Mr. Available. I get that phone call at the last minute a lot because I live close to a golf course and I'm generally got some time on my hands.
So, okay, well, I got to ask, who has let me down by not informing me that they throttled you earlier today?
First of all, I cannot blame my partner, Kevin Quinn. It was not totally his fault. I mean, little fella kept up as long as we could. Those first few holes were tough, and I didn't support him a whole lot, but we ran into a bit of a buzzsaw today.
Which Kevin Quinn, great friend of the program, he's going to be on here soon enough. He is the head golf professional at Vestavia Country Club, where you are a member.
Correct.
And Kevin was very gracious and invited me out. I think there were 8 of us, and you were one of those 8. And
I was the filler position.
Well, and you rode in like a knight on a white horse with a sack full of Sneaky Pete's hot dogs. And it wasn't just a chili dog here or a chili dog there. I mean, what was the total order? How many hot dogs do you think you ordered that Monday?
Well, with a group like ours, it was important not to miss anything. So I'm going to over prepare, not under prepare. It was a nice order for Sneaky Pete that day. I know that. And we made good use of them. So it set the tone for our relationship. I'm glad you remembered it. I don't Sneaky Pete every group though. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
That was a one-off because of you being there and your status.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, you probably made their month with that order because I don't know that I've ever seen a sack of Sneaky Pete's that large. So there's lots to dive into. Obviously, that Monday when we got beat by Kevin and Zach Kaler, which we can also just gloss over that if you like.
They're good players.
They are. They're good players. They're great players, and you have some absolute rock stars there on staff at Vestavia. But I want to get to, as we can get back to that point. You grew up here in the South. Is that correct?
That's correct. I'm a Georgia guy. Grew up in LaGrange, Georgia, a couple hours from here, and played golf growing up over in that part of the world. And then over the course of my life, I lived in Texas and California, and then back to this part of the country. But I'm a Southern guy for sure.
And that's one of the stories that I wanted to highlight here because, I'll just let you kind of dive into it. Tell me what brought you back to Alabama.
Well, it was middle of COVID, and my family and I, we were living out in California, and our COVID was a little bit different experience, perhaps, than it was here. And and our youngest son had not been to class for an extended period of time, and we made a decision that we wanted to get somewhere where that could happen. And we had picked a handful of cities in the country. Birmingham was one of them, and my wife and I had lived here about 30 years ago. when we were first getting started in the world, and we absolutely loved it. Loved everything about the town, loved everything about the people. And our family are getting older, and they're in the South, so this was a good move for us to come back here. And we've fallen in love with being back in the South all over again. I've learned to slow down a little bit. I'm developing patience. But I'm, as you know, a social person, and I love the fact that people will talk to you anywhere, and that's great for me.
Right, right. So you grew up in Georgia, LaGrange.
Yep.
What did your early life in golf look like?
Well, I was pretty lucky. Grew up on a golf course, and I picked up a set of clubs probably age 6 or 7 that somebody that was much, much older than me thought that I might enjoy the game. And I remember those early days banging balls and kind of falling in love with the solitude of it, and being able to be outside all of the time. And I'm obviously not 25 years old, so I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have all this other stuff, but we could go out and play golf all day long. And I'll say I loved living in LaGrange, and most golfers, we know we love daylight savings times. We get that little extra hour of daylight. And LaGrange, Georgia is literally on the very tail end of the Eastern time zone. And so you could squeeze in another 8 or 9 holes at that end of the day in the summer. And there's no better time for me to play golf than the twilight hour at the end of a beautiful summer day in the South. That's pretty special. So
Yeah, I
LaGrange
totally
is
agree with you there.
cool.
And I actually am a beneficiary of that sunlight that you're talking about, because where we hunt, my in-laws' land is right on the border.
Yeah.
And yeah, it went after the time change, we can be in a deer stand till 6:15. Game warden might not be too thrilled about that, but
That's a different podcast, Josh.
that is a different podcast. You're right.
Podcast.
So grew up playing there. Since you grew up in LaGrange, have you played the Fields Club?
Of course, yes, absolutely. I know, Alan. It was not as prevalent when I grew up as it was kind of later in my junior golf career, and then all through college and afterwards. But there was a small little 9-hole course there where Alan Doyle worked behind the counter for many, many years. Your audience better know who Alan Doyle is, one of the great amateurs and subsequent professionals to play the game from Georgia. So yeah, I know the Fields. It's a cool spot for sure.
Yeah, I've been talking about them about coming on the show, and am really excited to just showcase. I am embarrassed that I have not been down there yet.
We
I
go
hear
together,
nothing.
me and you. We'll go.
I would love that.
That'd
I
be
would
great.
love that, Curt. We need to make that happen. So obviously, your time in California before you decided to, for lack of a better phrase, evacuate because of what was going
Relocate.
on.
We use
Yeah,
relocate.
okay, relocate. The golf there, no stranger for anyone that's listening to this, is incredible. What was it like having just an embarrassment of riches around you in California?
Josh, I've thought a lot about this being back here, and there's certainly some spectacular golf courses out there, and a lot of them are big name marquee courses, but do not sleep on the golf around this part of the country. I mean, there are spectacular golf courses all over this country. There are spectacular public courses, there are spectacular private courses. So I think, granted, there's some notoriety to some of those golf courses out on the peninsula that is well deserved. And I had the opportunity to play most of them with some regularity, and they're great. But there's great golf courses everywhere, man. There's some, it's all you can eat in a lot of places, not just out there.
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, and I agree with that. There are tracks all around here that can compete against those. But while you were out there, what was your favorite course to get to play?
So I'm a spyglass lover. I mean, and I've said this, and this is probably heresy, and I've been fortunate, and I've played Pebble a number of times, and I would rather have 1 round of golf at Spyglass than 5 rounds of golf anywhere else there. And I think it has to do with being a bit of a traditionalist. Spyglass is 2 very distinct 9 holes. You work your way out into the water, on the ocean for the first 5 or 6 holes, and then go back into the forest and wind your way back to the golf shop. And it's so very distinct 9 holes. That's a bear of a golf course. It's long, it's hard, it's tough. And I just always loved that. Pebble is spectacular. It is what it is. It's a 6.5-hour round.
Sure.
And it's beautiful, but I mean, I want to play a really difficult, challenging golf course that tests you. And for me, Spyglass was it. And we were fortunate we could drive down in the morning before Spyglass became part of the Pebble Beach company. We could drive down. We had a friend that was a member down there, and we could drive down, leave at 5:30 in the morning, go down, have a breakfast burrito and a screwdriver or whatever it was, play 18 holes, walk in Spyglass, turn around and drive home and be back home by 5 o'clock. That was a pretty good day of golf.
Wow. Yeah, that's special.
Pretty
So
special.
you mentioned the 6.5 hour rounds at Pebble.
Yeah.
Is that because they're packing it full of golfers, or it just takes that long to play it?
I think it's a combination of things. I mean,
Okay.
it's an expensive round of golf, so you're going to get your money's worth, right?
Right.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of where we are. It's 6.5 hours of golf out there. No,
I mean,
thank
and
you.
that like, and I totally understand what your point of like it's expensive and people want to get their money's worth, but like, there's part of that where the returns begin to diminish in my mind. Like, I am taking this in. I'm looking at number 7. I'm enjoying the views and everything, but like at the same time, I want to play golf. Like that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have
There's a
nightmares
rhythm
now.
to the
That's
game that we both enjoy
yeah.
that I think starts to be impacted by slow play, delays, etc. And that's, that's a conversation maybe for today, maybe for another day, but it's one
Oh,
that I
well,
know we're
we can talk about whatever you want. I
talking about slow play right now.
we actually have the gentleman that was just on a week or so ago. He is an advocate for buzzing people.
I love it.
If you are playing slower, you're on the clock, that you get hit
Yeah.
with a buzzer, and I'm all
Yeah.
for some level of
Yeah.
electrocution involved in that if
I
there
saw
can be.
I saw an interesting post this week, and it was a club here in Alabama that if you play or exceed the allowed time, meaning you come in early, you get discounts on your drinks.
Oh, that's tremendous.
Right? Like I think it said, if you play in under 4 hours, your first pitcher is $1 or something. So let's incentivize us. I mean, I'll skip at the turn.
Yeah, right. I love that.
We're
And that's
done.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, here we go. Let's pour them up. I admire that creativity of, and it's a shame that that's kind of what it's gotten to with golf. I've had another gentleman on the show who he thinks, and it's not a hard and fast rule, but that everybody should have a handicap of some kind, and that
Yeah.
public courses would have windows when if you do not have a handicap, you can play to then establish that a handicap
Yeah.
establish the handicap, but the weekends you have to carry a handicap to play, and I think that would cause some self-policing, because then you have to put in the effort to understand what that means, and it creates a sense of acknowledgement and understanding of, okay, we're actually out here to play golf and kind of move along.
Yeah.
And I thought that was a fascinating idea and would love to see that implemented somewhere. I know it would never happen because all hell would break loose, but I think it's a great idea.
I had a conversation with Kevin today, and I think there's a really cool video to be shot. And I know you have a lot of really talented people that watch and listen, and if it's not them, it'll be us that shoots it. But there's a rhythm that occurs on the green, right? And so when you're playing with, you and I and a couple guys are playing, and we're decent players or we're good players. We have an understanding of what's happening and whose turn it is to do what. And so I was saying to Kevin today, it'd be really cool if we'd shoot some time-lapse photography as a group approaches the green, and then you can overdub it with, okay, now let's watch Josh here. He's lining this up, even though it's not his turn, because I think so much of the lost time that's occurring out there is because somebody doesn't know what they need to be doing other than just hitting, right? I mean, that small window where you're executing the shot, that 10 to 12 seconds, whatever that is just part of it. It's the being ready. It's the anticipation of when it's your turn, knowing where to set the pin, knowing who's going to pick the pin up. It's all of that stuff that affects the rhythm of a good outing. And it's probably just understood when you've played golf for a long time, but you do learn it. And I think that's oftentimes something that we overlook with juniors. I mean, we're big on teaching the rules, right? You got to know where to drop, and oh my God, that's another conversation, right? We can simplify the heck out of that, but let's talk about the rhythm of the game and why it will be more enjoyable if we're moving it along. But we digress.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's I think there are so many shots lost or it's time lost on the greens,
Yeah,
and to your point, it's all the standing around and also just the lack of the understanding, like you said, of not knowing where to put the pin, who's going to grab the pin.
that's right.
If you're leave the pin where you're going to walk back by it, or if you've had to chip up,
Yeah,
leave that wedge where you're going to
that's right.
walk towards the cart to then I mean, because it just there's little things that for us who have played hundreds of rounds of golf
Right.
are
Second
common
nature.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you are playing with somebody who's new to the game or trying to understand it and learn kind of the waltz, I guess, of what occurs on a green,
That's right.
there are nuances there that a lot of people would be new to them. And that's
And
no,
somebody has to tell them that, right? We have to teach that. My youngest son, who has been known, and I'm sure he will see this, I love you, son, has been known to leave a club or two. And, we have those conversations that the wedge and the putter always go together because we're going to need one and the other. We're not going to go back and get it. And when we're done with it, we always want to lay it between the hole and the cart because we're going to walk back by there. Somebody else is going to walk back by there. But you only learn that after you leave a few clubs and you have to go back and look for it. But, there's a lot of the things that are involved with golf that I think are perhaps overlooked when it comes to educating and teaching people that are getting exposed to the game. And it can be a little intimidating. This is a new topic, Josh. It's one I'm passionate about. And I'm advocating for bringing back the scramble. I bring back the scramble because the scramble is an opportunity for perhaps less skilled players to play with more skilled players in a low risk, low pressure environment. And you start to understand the rhythm of the greens. You start to understand, how you're moving along as an A player or a B player. And so I think we sometimes overlook opportunities to expose our newer players or perhaps less skilled players to some of the nuances that keep play moving.
No, and I agree with that. There's times when a scramble is a lot of fun, regardless of the skill player the level of skill that you're with.
Yeah.
Just
I'm
to,
a
and I've got
solid B player.
okay.
I'm proud of that.
I would say you could be an A player.
I'm hustling a little bit.
You would probably, based on the round we played together, you probably think I'm an E or an F.
No. We were both C's that way. That would explain why we lost money.
But you might be onto something in terms of a business opportunity, and I know, like I was saying, you're always wearing multiple hats. Not just the etiquette on the golf course, but the etiquette of how to play.
Yeah.
Of how you move around the green. Like, I'm not one to watch somebody else's ball finish rolling before I'm hitting mine. If you're in the fairway, as soon as you make contact, I'm addressing my ball and going.
We like ready golf.
Right.
It gives us more time to do the other things out there that we enjoy the most. Socializing,
absolutely
and
right.
hanging out.
Yes, because the golf for the majority of it's going to be pretty frustrating. At least how my game is right now.
Yes, it is. It was today.
So we had a great time that Monday, and it was, like I was saying at the outset, the cool thing about the game of golf is that you end up on a random Monday sitting in a cart with someone you've never met before and have a great time, and now we're recording a podcast a few weeks later.
That's right.
So that was Vestavia Country Club. How long have you been at Vestavia? You've got Kevin Quinn there. You've got Hunter Saltz, who's the superintendent. I mean, you guys have a gem of a golf course. But how long have you been out there?
I've been there about 4 years. It's an incredible golf course. The greens are, absolutely our signature part of the experience there, and you better know what you're doing, and you better have somebody giving you some tips. And if Hunter wakes up, on the wrong side of the bed and decides those things need to roll 13.5 one day, they will. And so it's a lot of fun. We had a stretch this summer where he really had those things dialed in, running like 14-2. And it was interesting to see some of the players coming in from different parts of the country. In our community, word travels pretty quickly, faster today than it ever did. And when you get someplace with greens running hot and fast, it tends to bring in some good players. So it was quite fun to see some of the guys come in and test their skill on greens that fast.
Yeah, and you even mentioned it before we played. You're like, and Kevin Quinn told me as well. He said it's the most well-manicured golf course he's ever seen. And he's worked at some pretty prestigious places.
Yeah.
And I kind of questioned him on it. And then after that day together, I was like, no, you're right. Like, and I've been fortunate enough to play some pretty incredible
Yes,
places
you
as
have.
well. And it is, yeah, Vestavia is in remarkable shape right now. And for us to play it when we played it with everything nearly dormant and the greens still have the teeth that
Yeah.
they did,
Yeah.
was
A lot of
incredible.
fun. We're lucky. It's in great shape every day, and Hunter and his entire team, you know, it takes a huge group to do that, and it's a lot of fun to see the product that they put out. It'll get you.
Yeah, it certainly will. So you left out or left the South, went to California, Texas, then came back here.
Yeah.
But I also know that you are a world traveler.
Right.
I want to hear about your golf experiences. We've talked a little bit. When we played, we talked a little bit about Ireland.
Yeah.
Favorite golf experiences and places that people should add to their list to check out if going abroad.
You know, I've played some golf internationally. I've done the Ireland trip a few times. Was not always my jam. I don't like to play golf when it's cold, wet, and windy. So Ireland was probably not my. And I had to have a long talk with myself on day one playing Portmarnock, and I'm like, kid, you better get an attitude adjustment or something real quick. 'Cause it's going to be a long 11 days. And then I think, you learn to modify your equipment a little bit for where you're going and what you're doing. So that's cool. But I always tell people, for my money, if I'm going to go play golf for a week, take me to the desert out in Arizona. I love desert golf. I like target golf, something that makes you think, very strategic. But I did a trip one time to Portugal, believe it or not. I spent 11 days playing golf in Portugal, and I was in a place called Faro, Portugal. And I said, you know why it's called Faro? Because it's really far away. And it is so far. It took like 20 hours to get there. We played golf for 10 days, and that was really, really cool. Beautiful golf courses over there, beautiful golf courses everywhere. But yeah, send me out to the desert, like this week, specifically out to Phoenix would be great to see.
Right.
You hang out there in the waste management all week. I'm not thinking about that at all.
So when you do go to Arizona, what are your favorite tracks out there?
Well, gosh, there's obviously the big ones, the Troons, Pinnacle Monument, the boulders. I love going up to the boulders. Sunridge Canyon. These are all great golf courses. The golf course at Talking Stick is all you can eat there.
I've played Talking Stick. It was brutal.
Yeah, it's and you can lose money there when you're done, right there.
Right.
That make
Right,
it so
the casino's
easy.
right there.
Just transition from here. We've got a complimentary shuttle right over here at the casino.
Right.
If you want to get your ass kicked again. So
And for the listeners, if you're ever driving around Arizona and you see a building that is just flashing colors at you and can't quite figure out what it
fall
is,
for it.
yeah, that is Talking Stick.
That's just them reeling you in a bit. Yes, I love going out to the desert. I've not played a ton of golf up in the Northeast. I've played a little bit, but there are some of my buddies that it's a religious experience going up and playing up there. And I know there's some spectacular golf courses up there, but I've never been one to chase, a specific list of golf courses. I'm all about the experience, right? I'm interested in who I'm playing with as much as where I'm playing. And so I think that shapes the whole experience as much as the course does. But yeah, I mean, I've played a lot of golf and have been very lucky to have been doing it a long time. As I've said to you, I'm coming up on 50 years. That just means I'm really old. But golf is one of those things that you can do forever. And when you think about not just other sports, but other hobbies, other activities that you can do over the course of a lifetime, there just aren't as many things, out there. And golf is one of those. It bridges generational gaps. It bridges communication gaps. It is, I've played golf with unbelievable athletes that can light up the MLB scoreboard, but can't break 90. And you're having these conversations and you're just like, that's golf, man. It is humbling. It's rewarding. It's challenging. It's what
And
we
one
do
of the
for.
greatest things about it is the handicap system.
Right.
I mean, that it being able to stand in the same spot, hit the same ball, but then play an equitable game.
Right.
And that's one of the fun things. Like I've kind of got a little thing going with my brothers and dad where we all go play together. And it's taken me a few times because only my baby brother carries a handicap. My other brother and dad do not yet. And so I've had to kind of figure that out on
You're
my
giving
own.
the lecture.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, well, let's figure out who's getting strokes where and what that looks like.
Yeah.
And we played this past Christmas and came down to the last hole. My dad and I, and we were tied with my two brothers in a match play. And so I was like, yes, I have nailed this handicap.
Yeah.
And my dad walked in a 4-footer on the last to win the match, which was just the greatest thing ever. And I was like,
As
okay.
a dad, that's what we're supposed to do, right? Like,
I've never been prouder of him. And it was nothing but, there was nothing on the line. We weren't betting any money
it
or
doesn't
anything, but
matter.
the pride, I was
It
like,
doesn't
oh my
matter.
God.
I'll tell you that when I play with my sons, we play an interesting game where those two will play me, and it's kind of been this way since they were little. And um, when that day comes that they finally beat the old man, it is a big moment, and it's a humbling moment, but it's a proud moment. It's fun to see them get better, and really, it's fun to see them fall in love with the game that I have been in love with for so long. I had a really cool experience this last fall talking about playing golf with our family. My oldest son, came in and played as my partner in a golf tournament, and it was the first time we'd ever played in a tournament together. And it was his first moment in a big tournament, and it was just the coolest thing I have done in a long time. And I look forward to doing the same experience with my other son at some point. And, I remember when my sons were born, calling my dad, and this was a long time ago, and letting him know that we finally had that foursome, right? And that
That's
foursome of,
cool.
me, two sons, and my dad who taught me the game. Now we go play golf, and my kids are just baffled why an 82-year-old man never misses the fairway. And I'm like, that is old man golf at its finest.
Right.
It will beat you to death if
Right.
you're not careful, right? He shoots the same score, never loses a golf ball. It's just straight down the middle all the time. A lot to be learned from that, Josh.
Right. It's fairway, green, 2-putt, move on. Like
It's
it, yeah.
fairway, green, two-putt, bogey, 4. 5-net 4. What'd you have?
Which that's a great segue. So Kevin Quinn obviously introduced us, and he said, "You got to meet this guy. He wrote or created Dear Golf."
Yeah.
Which I am so thankful to have a copy of Dear Golf, and you have been incredibly generous to send a couple copies to some friends of mine.
We've had some fun with it.
I would love to hear how the inspiration for Dear Golf. You obviously are very passionate about the game, and even more so passionate about the experience that the game provides and those relationships and just the time spent on the golf course. Tell me about how, when you thought of the idea of Dear Golf, and then we'll kind of go through the contents of what this book actually contains.
I told you this a little bit when we were together. I've done a great job in my life of collecting things around golf. I've got a cool golf ball collection. I've got a really cool caddy bib collection. But those things only told part of the story. They said where I was, right? It might have had a date. I wrote a date on the ball, maybe when I was there. And I do my best to remember it. And somebody might say, what's the story with that ball? And I've got, whatever, I can kind of come up with it. But over the years, there was always something a little bit missing, right? And I always feel like that the score for me is about number 6 on the list of what I'm out there doing. And having spent a day with me in the cart, we're interested. I mean, the playlist is above that, right? Everything else that we're doing is above that, and scores down here. And so I have a really cool business partner out on the West Coast, and we've worked on a couple of different projects together over the years. And my oldest son was doing some work with her on another project, and we kind of were talking about golf. And there's two things happening in the world. Golf is exploding again in popularity. It's so much fun to see, in large part due to guys like you and others that are making this digital transformation, this content creation so cool. And the thing is, we want to make sure over time that golf continues to have its position in the world, right? And it gets exposed more and more. And I said, how do we tell that story, right? How do we keep people engaged with it? And most of the younger world today is obsessed with this device, right? We're on this all the time. And
Right.
long before that device existed, we wrote things down, right? And we talked about it. And in my business career, I always had a saying that drove people nuts that said, poor handwriting is a perfect substitute for a great memory. And we spend so much time trying to remember things, and all we got to do is write it down, right? And so we started this conversation around how do we capture those moments and what is important to a round of golf. And so that's where Dear Golf was born. And it started as this project that it was going to be this cool thing that I would share with my friends. And the next thing you know, I had bitten off a big bill and we'd printed off a bunch of them. And all of a sudden we started selling them and people were like, oh my God, that's really, really cool. And I think that, the experience of writing something down is becoming more and more, it's rarer than it ever was, right? It scares me to think about what happens in 10 years. Are we going to teach people to write things down? Are we just
Right.
typing them? And so we wanted to create a platform that you could tell your story. And when you look at Dear Golf, we created the outline, right? We built the platform for you to go in and tell your story about a round of golf. And as you go through it and you look at it, there's very little conversation about score. There's all types of conversations around the environment, who you were with, what was the weather like, how were the greens, what was the after party, what was the pre-party, what was your playlist like. And so, when I go back through and reread some of my rounds, which is a new phenomenon for me, I didn't have this a year ago, right? This wasn't something that I've been able to do for the last 40 years. But over the last 6 or 7 months, as I've been using mine so frequently, it is a blast for me to go back and reread some of the rounds of golf. Obviously, I don't write every one of them down. They're not all that great. I didn't write the one today down. I wish I would. But, the ones that are cool and meaningful, it's been fun to write those down and go back and look at them again. So there's a
Yeah, and
nostalgia to it.
yeah, and that's it's a fascinating lens to look through for a memory of a game.
Yeah.
I'm already thinking about upcoming golf trips I have. I'm going back to Landman in July with 15 other guys, and I'm like,
Perfect.
man, this book could be filled up from that. But I want to some of the things that are highlighted. That you talk about the outline. So there's a section that's called Rounds to Remember.
That's right.
And you've got today we played. So then you fill in there the course you played. You have a date. The course was you pick one, either in amazing shape, about average, or in need of attention. Hopefully, we're not playing places that are much in need of
Listen,
attention.
remember, anything can make a round to remember. The course can be awful, but I made 2 hole-in-ones that day. It's probably going to make the book.
That's a great point. Then you have a section for who was in your group, how you would describe your overall play, which I love these options. Dialed in like a pro,
Right.
not bad, but room to grow, or the course won this one. Then you talk about your putting, and then 3 highlights from the day, and then you played golf today, either hammering cocktails, crushing doobies, sober as hell, or other.
Yeah, there's room for everybody's preference there. It was a broad sweeping approach, and I've played golf in all of those environments with all types of people.
Yeah, and it continues from there too. I mean, you did a great job with the prompts here. You set the scene. There's course impressions, personal performance, memorable moments, and then of course, like you said, the after party. So it's a really fascinating way to remember just games and important days on the course. And then you also have a section for tournament rounds,
Yeah.
which I know some guys who would absolutely nerd out on the tournament round section of this because they get so into the weeds on how they played, the conditions. I mean, they're like Matthew Fitzpatrick and that they're
Yeah, no
recording every
thanks.
single shot they ever hit. And I'm like, I'm not that guy. But yeah, it's I mean, even a section for the Calcutta and what your team was bought for, total prize pool, and how much you won. So I think you really thought of everything when creating this book.
We took a long time to get it right, and I'll tell you, there's still things like in everything you'd modify, adjust, or change. We have a new version. I'm gonna tip my hand a little bit right here with you for the first time. We have a new junior golf version of this. It's called Dear Golf Junior that's about to hit, and it'll be sold everywhere where we sell Dear Golf today, and you'll be able to order it online. But we see the junior golf space as kind of that next step for us to evolve and help those kids learn to tell that story. It is the thing that I wish I would have had as a junior golfer to document some of my experiences. I have some amazing memories. I've got, trophies that tell a story and scars that tell a story. But at the end of the day, Listen, part of it comes when we get older, right? We start becoming a little more nostalgic, but there is joy in opening this and rereading some of the rounds. There's a section here on greatest shots. There's a section in here on favorite tracks. So I go in and I play someplace really cool. I want to write it down and capture it. And is it too much to think that at some point I might share this with my children? They have their own versions, and I might look at theirs. I don't write them in sequential order. My book is not structured. Okay, I open it whenever I got an opening. I write it down because they all live independent of one another. It's not a sequence of events. It's a round to remember, and that round to remember can be for a lot of reasons. It doesn't mean I shot 68. It might mean in this case. I mean, I specifically wrote, I played golf with a really cool podcaster today. And after the time you and I played, I'm like, where does Kevin Quinn hide all these cool guys that I get to meet? They're everywhere.
Well, I wonder who that podcaster was, because it was certainly
Right,
wasn't me.
exactly. Josh, the other thing, it's been really cool getting to see where the book goes, right? And you and I have sent books out to a few friends, and it's got great tentacles. The book has been to St. Andrews. The book has been to Augusta. The book has been to places all over the world, which is really cool, because that gives you the satisfaction knowing something that you created ultimately served the purpose that you had the vision for. And those of us that are in the creative space, whatever the widget is that we're working on, that's what we're trying to do. No different than your podcast trying to find its home with your audience, right? We want to connect with the user, with the reader, with the audience in whatever capacity that we can. But so this has been a lot of fun. And the cool part is I had another lifetime of a career, and this is a whole new thing, and getting to meet some incredibly talented people. I'm fascinated by the speed with which things can get accomplished today, versus say some of the more traditional sales and marketing approaches. And so we've had a lot of fun learning how to get exposure with something like this. But as I've said, I've never had somebody get one that didn't say they loved it. And I don't want to sound like an infomercial, but just get it. You'll like it.
Right. So when you finish a round, you said they're not in sequential order, which makes complete sense, because
Yep.
like you said, they live on their own within the book.
Yeah.
How quickly do you jot down the experience of the day? Is that something like as soon as you walk in the door?
It's going to be fresh for me. It's usually going to be the next day. Most of my mornings I'm spent here in my office working on something, and I love sitting down, remembering the day before, and write down some of the highlights of the round. It's not going to be a week from now. I think that the memory is freshest the sooner it's done.
Right.
And I don't want to lose that. Right. I mean, I don't want to lose the emotion. I don't want to lose the energy, because that's what you're trying to translate into the writing or the overview of the round. And it's best done when you're fresh.
Yeah, totally agree. Well, I'm thrilled to have my copy. So I'm not closing this out by any stretch of the imagination, but for people that want to find Dear Golf and where to purchase a copy of that book, where do they need to go?
So deargolfjournal.com, go to your pro shop, go to your local golf store. And if they don't have it, tell them to call us. We're not sold on Amazon. We're not the big box guy. I'm a huge supporter of the independent retail community in the golf shop, whether that's, in town or at a golf course somewhere. I think, that's the audience that we're trying to tap into. So you won't find us out on Amazon, but you will find us at deargolfjournal.com. You can follow us on socials. There's cool stuff on there of me and Josh playing golf and talking about things. So we're out there, and you can find us. The junior golf version will drop here so quick, and you'll get a copy of that, and that's going to be a lot of fun, because you'll start to see us moving into high schools and junior golf programs, and we've advanced it to the next level where there's life lessons brought into the book now. We've added some additional sections to the junior golf version, which make it a little more appropriate. We've taken out some of the pre-party stuff, as you might imagine.
No reference to doobies?
That's our NSFW book over here, but we cleaned a little bit of that up. And so that's going to be a ton of fun. But this platform of being able to write down your life experiences is something that we're pretty excited about continuing to flush out. But Yeah, order one, you'll love it. Send it as a gift, they'll be happy. Surprise a friend, send it to it. But it's great for golf trips. I get a lot of guys that buy them, in batches and go surprise their crew on a golf trip, which is a lot of fun. So
Oh, I should do that for my landman trip.
that was
That's
a
actually,
that was a sales closing
yeah,
technique
you
there,
got me.
Josh. I don't know if
You
you're
got
going on a golf trip anytime soon with 14 other people, but I
right.
think there's probably a cool thing we could do.
Yeah, no, you got me. But no, that'd be a great gift for me to have in everybody's room when they arrive, just as a hey, welcome to Landman, buckle in because we got 2 straight days of nothing but golf. So you live quite a great life from what I can tell. What is on the horizon for you in terms of golf trips, places you want to go see? You're Mr. Available. I mean, you even told me you're like, okay, when we go into Sweetens Cove, let me
Yeah,
know.
no,
I'll drive.
again, listen, you're Mr. Have Access, so Mr. Available would love to hang out with Mr. Has Access. I mean, that's a perfect partner. And
It is.
I can walk for days, so I'll carry your bag. We'll do everything you need. I, as my wife would tell you, I have some really important golf trips all the time. No, I'm lucky at this stage of the game. I have a handful of trips that are, somewhat repetitive. I play in a really cool tournament a few times a year around the country in some places. And then the rest of the time, it's just filled with, playing golf here or going somewhere else to play golf. I'm getting to play East Lake next week for the first time, which is super cool. I'm very
Yeah.
excited about that. I've never played it. And so, I love going and playing new golf courses. But to me, and this, we've spent a little bit of time together, I'm more interested in the full experience, not just the golf course. I think
Right.
it's the who you're with, it's the what, the why, the how, and then the where, and then the what you shot.
Right. Totally agree. And we bonded a little bit on my especially recently for me, my love for non-alcoholic beers.
Right.
I'm still exploring that world. I've already had an
It's a
athletic.
dangerous world. You could fall in love with it, Josh. Be careful.
Right. Which is and it was funny. I pulled one out of the fridge just a while ago. My daughter's like, when are you just start drinking regular beer again? I was like, what? Why does that matter to you? I was like, this is actually light years better for me than anything.
It's probably going to allow me to function again the rest of the evening if I have 6
Right.
of these.
Right. So
I saw
yeah,
I saw the athletic. You took it there. That's the IPA I see.
yeah, it is. And I've so we had a great conversation about that. What's your go-to NA right now?
I told you I'm a fan of the Guinness. I think the Guinness is really cool, but anything athletic, and I feel like you and I should be cutting a promo for athletic right now because we both love it, and I've never gotten a single can from them. It's like $12 for 6 of them. It's highway
Right.
robbery.
Right.
But they do a great job. But it's interesting to think about the world that we live in today and how prevalent those NA beers are. That's a different podcast, probably with a different meaning and messaging. But it is.
But if they want to sponsor the show,
Hey, let's start with sending a 6er maybe or something.
Right.
I mean,
or just a promo code. Let's take a promo code.
just anything. Yeah. So yeah, I do love my NAs. Which is a cool story in and of itself. And I know and listen, for those people that survived dry January, they're crushing February now. We did it.
Right. A couple questions, just high level things that I ask pretty much every guest that comes on the show. Is there a new to you course in the last 12 months that you had not played before that stands out in your mind? You may have journaled about it in Dear Golf, but a course that you played in the last 12 months that really spoke to you that was new to you that you had not played previously.
Yeah, I would say Talking Stick. We were just talking about it, right?
Mhm.
That's a great golf course. Part of my problem, Josh, I've played so many golf courses. There're not that many that are new to me. I know that sounds awful. Sweetens Cove would be new to me, and
Okay.
we've talked about you dragging me to that. That's
Right.
Mr. Available trying to go with Mr. Access again. And so yeah, I'd love to go play someplace new like that with you specifically.
So what was it about Talking Stick other than the casino that was within spitting distance?
And I had already long since made my mark at that casino. I mean, that casino was well aware of Curt Thompson long before the golf course was. But a desert golf I love, and I love hard golf courses, and that's a hard golf course. But you know, there's just so many incredible golf courses we can go play, and it's making such a great resurgence right now, which is cool to see. You know, and it's a good time to be around golf.
Yeah, it really is. It
How
really is.
about you, Josh? What's been on your radar screen the last year that you played that you just can't live without
Oof.
now? You've talked
Um,
about Landman a bunch, you know.
I have there's a special place in my heart for Landman because it's if Rob Collins, who's the architect of Sweetens Cove, if he had a blank canvas basically and all the land he needed to build a golf course, that's what Landman is.
Wow.
I mean, it is vast is an understatement of that property. But Pinehurst number 10 and the Lido, both I got to play both of those,
Uh-huh.
and those are two that I would love to play again. I mean, the Lido was one where I was just kind of taking it all in because of that whole story about it being on Long Island, and then the Navy took over the land, and it being basically rebuilt through a video game that they then used to recreate the
Crazy.
property. And they even did things at the Lido. So for safety reasons, I mean, obviously, older architecture, greens and tees are very close together, right?
Yeah.
And that's how the Lido was on Long Island.
Yeah.
And so if there was maybe a bunker that separated the green from the next tee box, for safety reasons, they distanced the greens and tee boxes at the new Lido up in Wisconsin. But if there was a bunker there, they put that bunker beside the tee box and beside the green. So they tried to replicate it as
Interesting.
realistically as possible. And I mean, you feel like you're on the moon. Like there's hardly any trees. I don't know if there are any trees on
That's crazy.
Lido. And then Pinehurst number 10. Pinehurst number 10, we kind of had not great weather. It was kind of misting the whole time, which was I'd rather it just rain or not. Like
Get it over
the fact
with.
that jacket was coming off and coming back on, coming off, coming back
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Pinehurst number 10, that's a fun walk. It's the kind of course that I really enjoy where you can spray it a little bit and you're still in the hole.
Yeah.
It's not something that is
So penal.
overly pink. Yeah, and I'm not a great driver of the golf ball. I'm decent, but if something goes a little wayward, I don't want to be completely dead.
Yeah.
And golf courses like that can just be demoralizing. I understand there's places that there are people that love that kind of golf course.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I penalize me by making a bogey. Don't penalize me with a triple. Like, you know what I mean? And so Pinehurst 10 is, I mean, even the woods on Pinehurst 10 are very, very thinned pines. So even if you're in those pine trees,
You're gonna find
you're
it.
gonna, yeah, you might have a shot. Now there's a chance it might come back at you, but and then I'll add, I had not played Vestavia since the renovation until you and I played it together,
Yeah.
and that back nine at Vestavia
Pretty cool.
is special. The front nine reminded me a lot of the original front nine, but the back nine, I think, I didn't recall any of that. I feel like it's completely changed.
It was playing very hard today too. I had to hit driver into 12 today, and it was good.
Whoa.
I made a nice, 5 net 4, which was perfect.
Right.
Yeah, I think we lost that hole too, but yeah, it was playing into the bear of the wind, and so the old man had a hard time getting home in 2 there today.
Um, what's your favorite club in the bag right now?
Man, it's the 7-iron. I've said for years, if I could only have one club, it would be the 7-iron, and I just think it's a versatile club, and I love to hit it. And I've got a bad taste in my mouth right now for the 9-iron. It let me down 2 times today, consecutive holes from the exact same yardage. So
Right.
the 7-iron, man. I love. You give me a nice stock 7-iron into a par 3.
Okay.
Pretty good.
You mentioned your memorabilia, all the things that you've collected just through
Yeah.
the years that have golf meaning behind them. What is your most prized piece of golf memorabilia?
And I anticipated that we might have that discussion. So I brought a visual aid, Josh. Are you
Okay.
ready? So back in the early 80s, that man named Ely Callaway that started Callaway Golf, bought a company out of Temecula, California that was making hickory shafted wedges, right? And this was
Okay.
one of the very first clubs that hit the market from Callaway Golf. And this is it says on the bottom it's the second wedge, and there was a first, second, and third wedge, and this was designed for 70 yards or less. And it's got steel inside it, and I have re-whipped this thing over the years many times. It's got a crack in the wood. But this was my greatest golf club I ever played for many years as a junior. And I give you the backstory because growing up in LaGrange, if you know anything about Ely Callaway, you know that he was a LaGrange, Georgia guy, in addition to being, living in New York and out on the West Coast. And he was a member of Highland Country Club where I played as a kid. And I had two eagles back-to-back days on the same par 4 with this golf club. On
No
number
way.
9 at Highland Country Club, my buddy Todd Ormsby over there, he knows it well. And I holed out 2 days in a row with this club, and it made the bulletin. And I got this. I'm going to the wall now, Josh, so we could almost even pipe in some "He's going to the wall" music.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
I can do play by play. Hey, we've had someone
And
Yeah,
then
we've
he
had someone
brings
jump off of their
down, and
roof
so
into their pool before. So
so Mr. Callaway sent me a present, and I've never played this. This has never been
Whoa.
outside. This was one of his original Bobby Jones edition putters, this Billet Series putter. And this was still got the original grip on it. And he sent this to me as about a 16-year-old guy because of my back-to-back Eagles. So I would tell you that is probably my most precious. The other one would be my autographed Tom Watson. Back in the day, we wrote letters. We can
Right.
update your audience on what that was like. We wrote letters to celebrities and and I remember, first of all, you had to find an address, right? Where Tom Watson's address just isn't listed in the white pages. So, you'd find
Which we need to tell the listeners what a white pages is.
Yeah, well, let's start with an address. Josh, you laugh, but I was having a conversation with my son the other day. I said, do you know how to mail a letter? Do you understand the concept here of
gosh.
return address? And anyway, but yeah, so my Mr. Watson, my Tom Watson picture, this is probably look at Tom
That's
Watson.
really cool. So
I
for the
mean,
listeners, it's just a framed picture of Tom Watson that he
Yeah,
signed
and it
to
says
Curt.
to Curt, my best wishes, Tom Watson. And I can remember, and anybody that grew up playing golf as a kid, you always were somebody, right? You're on the practice green all day and you're making 3-footers. And, I was always Tom Watson to win the British Open or to win the whatever. My buddy was somebody else. And so, I know this doesn't look redheaded, but I was back in the day. And so was Tom Watson. And so he was my guy. And I've never met Mr. Watson in a kind of a one-on-one environment, which would be pretty cool one day. I hope to. But yeah, those are a couple of the pieces that I think are pretty cool. But when you've been doing something as long as I have, you tend to collect some things along the way. And I've been lucky, and I've met some people that have amazing collections. I got involved with the Golf Heritage Society, which is a group of really interesting guys that collect stuff. And you can join it and get exposure to collections of golf memorabilia, golf balls, clubs, anything golf related, books, you name it. The Golf Heritage Society is a really cool place to go and learn about the history of the game. And I don't know if that's something that the juniors today are as intrigued by as those of us as we get older. That's just a natural progression in life, right? We start thinking about history a little bit more, and we become more enthralled with kind of, how things became. And so we're attracted to things like that, like golf history. But, I hope that as our younger people continue to learn the game, that they don't lose sight of some of this rich history that's involved with golf. It's pretty cool.
Right. So the putter that you got from Mr. Callaway, how did he get wind of your 2 hole outs?
It was in the bulletin, which was a printed, back before we sent it out digitally. You literally got something in
for
the
the club.
mail. Yeah, and it was a write-up, Curt Thompson had something spectacular happen, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'll say this, and this is a shameless plug for his book. If you have not read Ely Callaway's book, it is so good. It is an incredible business book, but it ties in golf and a lot of cool lessons. And, yeah, pretty cool.
Okay. I need to check that out. I'm about to finish my first golf book of the year. I actually even though the events are now a little behind us. Alan Shipnuck's Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
I just wanted. I thought I knew enough about what happened with Live and the PGA Tour and all that back and forth, but it's been interesting just to read that kind of timeline of events of when certain parties got involved and the back and forth, and it's I'm almost finished with it. Actually, just got to the point where Rory says he feels like he got his heart ripped out when the PGA Tour announced that they were going to partner with the Public Investment Fund.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to check that out. I need to add that to my list.
Josh, this is another call for another day, but I am a byproduct of the 80s and 90s. And then when you grew up in the 80s and 90s in the South, we were wrestling fans, right? We loved wrestling. And I've said for years, ever since this Live thing went down, it was completely botched. If they would have just gone and read the playbook from when Hulk Hogan turned heel and we started and we fractionalized wrestling, then we brought it all back together again. We had the opportunity there, but we just missed it. Now our heel Brooks is coming back. Our heel is turning, and so I'm not sure Patrick Reed was the heel that the world was counting to turn.
Right,
he wasn't winning any popularity contests.
Yeah,
but
I was like, I saw that news and I was like, really? I was like,
you
Mark
weren't alone.
Leishman or Cam Smith, somebody with some redeeming qualities, but we get Patrick Reed.
Yeah,
Awesome.
but maybe though we like the drama, and that's Curt is an opinionated man on this. Golf needs some drama. We need to get a little energy in the game, and I think that's what Brooks will bring. We're talking about it, but. Like, man, let's have him go have a great week this week. He's won out there a couple of times. He can do it, and let's see what happens. But we need somebody to challenge Scotty and put some energy back into the PGA Tour.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. If you could wave a magic wand and have a dream foursome, who would be part of that foursome?
I wouldn't be human if I didn't tell you my two sons and my dad. That would be a blast because we are all trash talkers. I mean, my dad at 82 years old is a very subtle trash talker. He doesn't have to say much, but what he says is, he still knows how to work us a little bit. So the Thompson guys get out there. We have a lot of fun, which is a pretty cool foursome. But, I think that, play golf with Tom Watson would
yeah.
That would be it, man. I don't even need any other people just to go play golf with Tom Watson. But I don't know that I can give you a great answer because I'm not as infatuated with playing golf with anybody in particular as I am about the overall experience, right? I mean, I think that if anything, I've learned to enjoy it for the experience now more so than I ever did. Enjoy the company, enjoy the people that you meet. The score, you and I don't remember what we shot that day.
Nope.
We don't. I know we lost $10. I know that. I read about it, right? And I know I double bogeyed 14 because I wrote that down. But I just think that it's about more than score. That's what I've always said. It's a great round to remember is about people that you're with, the where, the what, the why, whether you're there for an event or something like that. That's what I think is the story worth telling.
You are absolutely right. And that is very, very well said. It's all about the who and the why and a whole lot less about the score.
How about you? Who are you wanting to play golf with?
Oh goodness. I mean, my first immediate thought that comes to mind is Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
but also on that one, it's kind of unique. Like, I don't know if I would want to play or if I just want to watch him play.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, right? Watch him go play someplace that we know and love, see him work his way around the golf course.
But then I would probably throw in, I know Eric Church loves golf. I'm a big Eric Church fan.
There you go.
I think it'd be a fun hang.
Be a great hang.
We'd have Tiger out there. God, I don't know who else would be fun? Nobody with any kind of attitude that's going to be mad if they hit a bad shot.
I think you go back and play golf with the Rat Pack, right? The Dean Martins of the world. That would be wildly entertaining.
Yeah.
But I think if I could go back and do anything over again, I've often thought about this. Most golf courses, most golf clubs, et cetera, have characters at them, right? You and I have been around enough golf courses to know that most places have one or two very unique characters, and I've always thought it would be cool if you could compile that backstory of all the great characters in the
Oh yeah.
game. You know, the mysterious Montagues of the world that have always left an imprint along the way. But I think that that's the joy of the game, is getting to know somebody and unlocking what their connection is to the game. Listen, we've played golf with people that weren't always great. They weren't always nice, and they might have been a jerk, but we didn't play with them twice.
Right.
You know,
Right.
and so that's the beauty of it, man. You know, you can pick and choose who you want to play with, but there are a lot of really fun people to play golf with, and a
Yeah,
lot of fun
actually,
games to play.
so that was the other thing I was going to ask you, but I figured out who my fourth would be. My fourth would be Charles Barkley.
Oh, there you go. Oh God.
And we would go out to the desert because he could probably get us on. So he'd get us on at Whisper Rock or somewhere.
Exactly right.
Somewhere really nice
There
for
you
the
go. That'd
desert.
be a track to play for sure.
What are your favorite games to play?
You know, we've been playing a lot, and you and I have talked about this before. We both love match play. You know, our games kind of ebb and flow over time. You get something that's hot, somebody plays somewhere else and brings it back. We're playing a game called Divorce right now, where your partners change up based on how the match is going, and it's designed to kind of spread the love around. I believe very strongly that if I could somehow have written my name on a dollar, and over the course of a year, I tracked that dollar as it moved amongst the people that I play golf with. And that's really, if you're playing golf, whether you're playing for a penny or a dollar or nothing at all, just pride, not prizes, it's competitive. And if you alluded to, if the handicap system is equitable and you've done a good job of posting your scores, then over time the game will even out, and my dollar goes to you this week and it comes back to me the next week. And that's what we love. I want to break even at the end of the year. I want my buddies to break even at the end of the year. I want to lose to you when you play great, man. I want to see you beat me when you play great. And I know you feel the same way. I don't want to win off of you because you had a bad day. You know, I mean, so I think that's the other cool thing about golf is I know I'm not alone when I say I don't mind losing. I want to see somebody beat me and play well. I don't want to lose because I played like crap. Right. I want you to beat me. I want you to play well. And I want us all to have a great time and beat us at our best.
Yeah, Curt, this has been a lot of fun.
It always is, my friend. We'll play
this has
golf
been
again soon.
a lot of fun. We need to play very soon, especially with the warmer temps on the horizon.
The Masters is coming too.
The Masters is coming. I think we're just 10 weeks away or so from the Masters.
Well, who's counting?
Yeah, right. Not keeping up with that or anything around my house.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got to get to the Fields Club or Sweetens Cove or whatever that looks like, or back out to Vestavia. Would love to take some time to play with you again, because that was a blast that Monday. Getting to see your track, spending time with you and Kevin, and really appreciate you sending me a copy of Dear Golf. I haven't played since. Yeah, of course. I haven't played since you gave me the journal, but as soon as I get a good round that is worthy of going into that book,
remembering.
Yeah, worthy. I can't wait to jot it down. So, but thank you for taking time to come on the show tonight.
Thank you, Josh, very much. I appreciate it, and congrats on all your success.
Thank you. Well, for Curt Thompson, I'm Josh Decker, and this has been another episode of Off the Deck.